Hello. Food can trigger your symptoms, like it says in the title, but doesn't mean that it's the cause of your disease. So you could eat something and you could get a flare up and you could say, oh, what was it in the food that caused the flare up? But actually, it's not necessarily the food that is causing the flare up. It may be triggering a reaction which leads to the flare up, but the cause is somewhere else. And this is really why people can eat the same stuff, but they get different symptoms. And the thing is, people want to eat certain things, and when they eat them, they react badly, so they decide, the food must be bad, so I must stop eating it. But actually, sometimes it's not about the food, it's about your trauma, it's about armoring. According to Wilhelm Reich, and according to lots of studies, lots of science, Gabor Mate talks about this, Peter Levine talks about this, the body, when it gets traumatized, creates a kind of blockage around the cells. The organ contracts. So for example, I've had this condition that I've struggled with since I was 9 years old, that I would have a forward back posture, that my head would kind of be like this all the time, and I couldn't figure out what was causing it. It just suddenly started around age 9, and guess what? It never went away. Until I detoxed, did water fasting, juice fasting, fruitarian diet for 3 years. Finally, it seemed to go away. But then, I ate something really clean, like super clean. Vegetables with quinoa. No fat, no salt, literally plain, cooked, properly cooked. I mean, I cook it perfectly. Quinoa, vegetables, and boom! After years of having zero symptoms, overnight, within 2 hours after eating the meal, I would get a forward back posture, a head posture. And I would think, so I have this friend who suffers from multiple health conditions. He has multiple diseases, he eats everything, processed food, rancid oils, sunflower oils, rapeseed oils, lots of salt, lots of meat, lots of cheese. And yet, even though he suffers from many illnesses, he doesn't get a forward head posture. So what is going on there? He can eat the complete shit, he can feel like shit, he can look like shit, and yet, when I am at way better health, suffer from a condition that he'll never suffer from. So, it's not the food, obviously, it's something else. And when you try to figure it out, you'll have to go into elementally Chinese medicine, astrology, medical astrology, because each body part is associated with an element, an archetype, a sign, some symbol, some force in nature, something in the collective unconscious. But if you don't know what is the body part about that is sick within you, then there's no way you can determine the cause. So in my case, like a forward head posture, I go to the cause by figuring out, okay, where is the disease? Well, I feel it somewhere around the back of my shoulders, upper back, sometimes lower back, and I can feel some kind of tension there. And I can eat perfectly, which makes the tension go away. But eating any less than completely, utterly perfect, and boom, the tension comes right back. When another person who eats complete shit never in their entire life gets ever this tension, ever, no matter what they eat. So what the hell is the cause? According to Gabor Mate, a person gets traumatized in childhood, something happens, and you create an adaptation to the environment. So you say, if my mother doesn't want me to express my needs, then I will not express my needs. But because it is a biological imperative, it's a biological, physiological need to express your needs, psychologically, not sharing, suppressing, suppresses your body, suppresses a function of your cells. So let's say this happened to you, and you get out of the environment, finally you're out of your parents' house, you no longer need to hide your needs, and yet you still have the same problem. What the hell? You are out of a house, maybe you're living on your own, there's nobody around you. Like, who are you hiding your needs from? And yet, you're still sick. Sick based not on your food, not on the people around you because there's nobody around you. No, because of the trauma, but it's still not resolved. Well, how do you resolve something when you're not even in the environment anymore, you don't have a problem anymore, and yet it's still in the body? The body becomes the environment, and it continues its adaptation, even if you don't actually do anything. So there's something in the body. Look at it like this. This is a door. Trauma closes the door. Healing, ideally, opens it. When you leave your parents' home, like this, no matter where you go, no matter what you do, the door will always be closed. Even if you no longer have any of the toxicity around you, even if you are now put into a healthy environment, no matter how healthy the environment is now, your body is still in the past, still closed. You may be moved on. You could have moved on completely. You're perfectly fine, and yet your body is not. How do you explain this? It's what the research says. It's what all the science supports. Everything has been confirmed, but this is how it is. The body seems to be stupid in this situation, because obviously you are out, you are safe, but your body doesn't believe you. Body doesn't believe that it's truly safe, so it stays there. Now the obvious conclusion would be to convince your body that it actually is safe. You can try affirming, you can try talking to yourself, you can do meditations, you can do therapy, but guess what? For most people it's still gonna be closed, even after all of that. And that's something I found to be the case. So what the hell do you do then? Well, what I've found is that your body remains there until you get into the same environment again. Unfortunately, this is the origin of repetition compulsion. If you ever heard of this concept before, it means that you, or rather your body, will reenact the childhood conflict which got you traumatized in the first place. So whatever made this happen, to close your body, to close that organ, to prevent your body from digesting and eliminating, regardless of your diet, your body will try to recreate the environment that created this by attracting the same people to you, getting into the same relationships, into the same conflicts of those relationships. Why is it doing that? Because it needs to do it. Because it is only by going back to that same environment that made you sick that you can get well. You need to go back. And nobody wants to hear that. Everybody, when I tell them this, they'll be like, why do I need to go back to sickness before I can get well? It doesn't mean that you need to get sick, but you need to put yourself into the relationship. But this time, you need to change your action. It's your behavior that makes this open. Not your meditation, not your diet, not even your mindset. Your behavior. But if you're living alone, after you left your parents, there's nobody to reenact the behavior. So you have to go back into a relationship that is just as toxic as your parents was. And then you can change your behavior. Give an example. Okay, I will give one. So let's say your mother was a narcissist. Now you attract a narcissist. What does your mother do? Your mother says, I don't care what your needs are, but you need to regulate mine. Then the narcissist does the same. I don't care what your needs are, but be my mother. So then you say, okay, I've been my mother's mother before, so I'll be your mother now. And then you get sick, then you get punished, because it's a pathological condition. So now you say, no, I'm not going to be your mother. And then the narcissist is trying to guilt trip you, trying to use the same tactics that your mother used to keep you traumatized, to keep you a servant. Now the healing happens when you say no to the narcissist, and you say, no, I don't care if you try to guilt trip me, I will not be your mother. And guess what? The narcissist will continue. He will push you, he will guilt trip you, he will blackmail you, he will triangulate you, he will smear campaign, he will use every tool in the toolbox, everything in his power, to keep you in the program of being a servant or being traumatized. And your job is to say no. So now you say no, and you say no again, and again, and again, until finally the narcissist leaves you and you don't go back to him. And only after all of that is finished, after the process of individuation and separation is concluded, only then is the conflict between you and your mother resolved through the other person. So the narcissist is now a representative of your mother. Your partner, male or female, is a representative of the parent that traumatized you. This time, instead of adapting to the environment and doing whatever the traumatizer wants you to do, you change the behavior and you stick to the changed behavior. That means you have changed the pattern. So what you did in childhood, you submitted to the abuser, because that's what every child does. There's no choice. You have to submit to survive, to be taken care of, so you submit. So then you submit in your relationship until finally you decide, no, I won't submit anymore, and you stick to the plan of not submitting when you submitted before. This can also be the opposite. If your parent was very codependent and needy and clingy, and you needed to dominate and assert yourself, to resist, you will try to dominate your partner as an adult. So here the same rule applies. You need to do the opposite of what you've been doing rigidly and compulsively before. In other words, you need to break out of the compulsion and create a new program, which is different from the other one. And that is how you change the physiology based on the biology, on the psychology. The behavior changes it. So, to sum it up, the reason why you're ill is not your diet. Your diet is triggering your symptoms. Yes, it will make you ill. But it's not the main reason. Main reason is parent traumatized you. You created a rigid pattern of behavior to resist the trauma, which of course is not resisting, it's getting stuck. And then you got into a relationship, and now you repeat the rigid pattern. And to break out, you stop the pattern. You change the pattern. And now, because you change the pattern, you are healthy. That's really how it goes. That's how you break the disease. What do we learn from this? Don't be an island. Don't be a hermit. Don't isolate yourself. Because that is actually part of a disease cycle. If you are sick, you need to be in a relationship where the same behavior that made you sick is repeated, and then you change the behavior, and that is how you heal. It's a simple process, but that's what you have to do. And where's the proof of that? Well, just do it. Don't care about the proof. If you wait for studies to tell you this, you're waiting forever. It takes too long for the science to pick up with this. They're too slow. But we already know from the ACE studies, the studies of adverse childhood experiences, that when you get traumatized in childhood, you get cancer as an adult, or you get autoimmune disorder, you get dermatitis, you get eczema, you get asthma, you get autism, you get whatever. You are sick because there is a pattern that you didn't change. Now you need to be put into a situation where you are forced to change the pattern, and then you will heal. Okay, so if this is how you heal, then what is the point of therapy? Why do I go to a therapist? How can I replay my childhood with a therapist? Obviously, if I'm your therapist, I can't be your mother and abuse you, and then you resist, and then you heal. Well, actually I can. If you know Sam Vaknin, who is a narcissist professor on YouTube, who wrote books on narcissism, he does something called cold therapy, in which during the therapy he becomes the client's abuser. He abuses the client, forces the client to change the behavior, client changes the behavior, and the client heals. Of course, this is a very extreme form of therapy. I don't recommend that, but he says he gets results. And this whole video I just explained why this actually works. Okay? Because you're telling your body that it's now safe to behave differently. Because you're behaving differently, so it must be safe. You wouldn't be doing anything that's not safe, right? Right? That's your body. Your body says you wouldn't do anything that's not safe. If you do something, that means it's safe. If you don't do something, that means it's probably not safe. Your body kind of works in these simple terms. So that's really the idea. If you go to therapy, you want the therapist to help you find out what is the rigid pattern of behavior that you have that is the cause of the disease. Okay, so let's say you had, this is something I see a lot, you have balding, or you have issues with your teeth, or you have issues with the eyes, or you have inflammation in the face, or you have issues with the ears. In other words, what if you have issues with the head? Well, there's very specific behaviors that are tied to the head. For example, asserting your will, doing what you want, motivation, how you deal with anger, how you deal with frustration, how you deal with conflict. These things are all ruled by the head. So anything that you do that is pathological in how you deal with conflict in your relationships, it's going to cause problems in the head. Can even cause brain tumors in the worst case. So a therapist's job is to help you to figure that out. Okay, you come to the therapist, you come to me and you say, I have gnashing teeth every night. So then I'm supposed to tell you, okay, the gnashing teeth ruled by Aries and Capricorn, because it's bones in the head. Capricorn is control, boundaries, and Aries is anger. So gnashing teeth means controlling your anger too much. Stop controlling it so much, and guess what? The gnashing teeth will go away. If you have headaches, the fire is getting stuck in the head. It's causing blood-related issues, which is ruled by Mars, which is the warrior archetype. So there's something that frustrates you, but you can't get rid of the frustration. Once you get rid of the frustration, the headaches will go away. Maybe you think, oh, but I can't get rid of the frustration because I have to do these things, I have to do these duties. Well, maybe you have to stop doing these duties then. And then the headaches will go away. So this is something that the therapist is supposed to tell you. And if he can't tell you that, then what the hell? Get another therapist. And guess what? 90% of therapists don't know anything about any of this, of what I just told you. They don't tell you what's going on. They don't know why you have gnashing teeth, or migraines, or headaches, or issues with the ears, or issues with the eyes. They have no fucking clue about anything. So we are living in the dark ages, and guess what? That's why people are sick. And nobody should be surprised. So my point of this video is, there's a psychological cause of every disease, and the cause can be fixed by changing your behavior. There's a rigid pattern in your behavior that is suppressing your body, suppressing a specific body part based on the behavior, because the body part is in charge of a behavior, right? So think about it like this. Problem solving is ruled by the frontal lobe, forehead, which also rules analysis, critical thinking, judgment. So a person who doesn't discern, doesn't categorize, doesn't judge properly, person who has no boundaries, will have issues with the brain. but the person who has issues with communication, who has a lot of anxiety around communication, will have issues with the extremities, the hands and the feet, circulatory issues, issues with the lungs, breath, nervous system. A person who has panic attacks will have problems with digesting emotions and processing them, and containment. So he has problems with the stomach, problems with the pancreas, maybe problems with this whole apparatus between the stomach and the head. But guess what? Nobody tells you this. We have to study Chinese medicine, we have to study medical astrology, and then you find out, shit, I needed to spend hundreds of hours figuring something out that somebody could tell me in 2 sentences. And I've been changing my diet, I've been shifting gears, I've been working very hard, I've been doing workouts, I've been exercising, and yet this health condition is just not going away. And now I could have healed myself if somebody could have just told me in 2 sentences what the psychological cause of my disease is. Okay, so how can you figure it out? Well, get hip with the astrology, get fit with the knowledge, learn about medical astrology, learn about your natal chart, look at your chart. Is it a diagnostic tool? Look at your planets that are afflicted. Afflictions of a placement are afflictions of a body and the mind. Afflictions in the chart are afflictions within, and those afflictions, the specific remedies for every affliction. So you need to research on that. But that's why I make these videos, to make it easier for you. I make videos on every planet, every placement, and this will be just one of many. But if you like a consultation, you can always reach out and you can message me, and we'll figure out what the cause of your disease is and how you can change your behavior to make the disease go away. So if you like, you can reach me on Facebook, and if you found this video helpful, leave a like and subscribe, and thanks for watching.